Hello everyone, Blueknight here and welcome back to the channel in what is now 2021. And what better way to start off the new year than with some brand new details pertaining to Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Yeah, it's a bit surprising, I know. This is actually our first bit of news concerning the game in what seems like forever. I mean, I understand why we haven't been seeing or hearing anything regarding the game recently. It's because Insomniac had just released Miles Morales for both the PS4 and the PS5, not to mention the rest of the holiday season where everyone is taking time off of work. And yes, that includes YouTubers. This article entails some rather interesting details concerning the game, which I'll be going over in its entirety for this video. But if you guys want to check out this article for yourselves, it'll be linked down in the description below. So without further ado, let's get into it. Right out of the gate, the game's story is brought up. It's not much more than what we already knew about before, but it's still worth noting what Marcus Smith said. The premise is that our longtime heroes are confronted by an evil arch-nemesis, aka Dr. Nefarious, who wields a dimension-tunneling device known as the Dimensionator. As often happens in this type of scenario, this damages the fabric of space-time and our heroes will need to use an evolving arsenal of creative firepower to try to save the universe. We don't want to give too much away, but players' jaws will hit the floor when they discover the butler did it. Shoot, I said too much. Butler? So that means Lawrence confirmed? Okay, obviously Marcus was joking, but given the fact that he stated in the past that we'll be seeing quite a few returning characters in Rift Apart, I wouldn't be surprised if Lawrence was one of them, and that he's merely just teasing the fans who have wanted Lawrence back after his rather odd absence from the 2016 reimagining. Next up is the matter of weapons, with Mike Daly having this to say concerning the increased haptic capabilities of the PS5 and its DualSense controller. Since Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart was built from the ground up for PS5, we have access to the broadest palette of techniques and the highest fidelity we've ever had for developing weaponry. You can look forward to some new developments that make weapon impact feel absolutely amazing. Custom adaptive triggers for each weapon that add new functions to the pull of the trigger itself. Advanced visual effects that take visual spectacle over the top haptics to give every impact unique and physical sensations that further allow weapons to express their personality. And our signature creativity for exotic and unexpected weapon concepts is in full force. The weapon experience is shaping up to be incredible. Weapons are always at the forefront of the Ratchet experience, and the DualSense gives us powerful new tools to take each weapon's unique personality even further. We combine haptics with the controller speaker to make the physical aspect of firing a weapon feel distinctly textured and believable. The expressiveness of the controller is very valuable here, as our weapons all look and feel very different from one another, so it wouldn't be nearly as convincing if all of them had a similar basic rumble. The adaptive triggers not only give us another channel for weapons to feel unique, but in some cases, they enable extra functionality. Partially pulling the trigger or feathering it gives us a way to add nuance to weapon functions that just weren't possible before, as the trigger itself couldn't give feedback. Our burst pistol, for example, can be fired accurately by pulling the trigger up to a middle threshold, or you can pull through to go all out at the cost of accuracy. It's much more intuitive to have this secondary function directly on the trigger than having players learn different buttons for it. It's that much easier for you to get into the flow of combat and execute advanced strategies without having to think of the controls. So a couple things to take away from this section. 1. I just can't wait to experience the described haptics this game is going to throw at us, especially since Insomniac, according to what everyone who managed to get their hands on a PS5 have been saying, they absolutely knocked it out of the park with the haptics and adaptive triggers in Spider-Man Miles Morales, where the player can feel the tension while Miles is web-slinging, and even feeling the web as it attaches to a building. Awesome stuff. Secondly, completely brand new weapons and concepts are happening. I mean, this is Insomniac Games we're talking about, and Ratchet & Clank, so there's no real surprise there. And thirdly, this part came from Gamesradar rather than Marcus Smith or Mike Daly, which is why I didn't include it in the previous portion. Apparently, there will be returning fan-favorite gadgets from previous games. They don't say what particular gadgets. We do know that the swing shot has been confirmed from past footage, but any other gadget like the hover boots or the jetpack making a return, we still don't know anything about those just yet. But the more I look at the article, I can't help but think that they're actually referring to weapons rather than gadgets, because they are discussing Ratchet & Clank's arsenal of weapons and that the new weapons are stealing the spotlight. I can't say for sure if they actually mean weapons rather than gadgets, but if Insomniac Games does decide to bring back some weapons from previous games, well, I already discussed the 10 weapons I would like to see return. If you guys want to check out that video, it's located in the top right corner. The article's third and final section talks about how Rift Apart sets itself apart from anything else that the Insomniac team has worked on in the past. Starting with Ratchet's new abilities, and here's what Mike Daly had to say concerning them. New abilities expand how Ratchet can traverse the dimensions using rift tethers, and combine with a suite of tried and true returning moves to create a moveset that feels empowering and expressive. He's referring to the ability to whip across combat spaces in an instant through dimensional portals that litter the combat spaces via the rift tether, just in case anyone was wondering. Ratchet's core movement is faster and more responsive, with faster and smoother transitions from move to move, making Ratchet feel more agile than ever. Our traversal moveset enables us to create traversal challenges that have you mix moves together in a satisfying chain, and lets players be more creative with how they move around the battlefield to outmaneuver enemies. And you know, the more I hear and look back at all the footage we've got for Rift Apart so far, using the rift tethers to get around the battlefield really reminds me of the traversal combat used in Marvel's Spider-Man, which Insomniac Games also developed. Albeit you don't have as much freedom to move around as you would in Spider-Man. Instead, you can only go where the rifts land you. Well, the green ones anyway, because there's still more rift types that we're unaware of right now, and we still don't know what those will do. But I would imagine that we'll be seeing more of those later on. Anyways, the article continues with Marcus Smith saying that the studio is trying to cater to more players than ever before, noting that if you've never played a Ratchet & Clank game before, this is an excellent one to start with, as the adventure is a standalone storyline. Still, longtime fans of the series will find deeper layers of connection to previous games. I still love the fact that Insomniac is trying to cater to the longtime fans coming off of Nexus, and the newcomers from the reimagining plus the movie. It just goes to show just how dedicated these guys are to staying true to their franchise. The article then wraps up with Insomniac assuring everyone that what we've seen of Rift Apart so far is but a hint of the chaos this adventure will offer, with Marcus Smith having this to say. Insomniac is so out of control that several of our designers are wanted across several star clusters. Okay, that's pretty funny. It has been an incredibly rewarding process of learning to shed outdated best practice that has been in place due to constraints of loading times. While so often new hardware feels like an upgrade to visuals alone, working on the PS5 has been a paradigm shift in the way we do all things, from the near instant level loading to 3D audio design, and yes, an enormous leap in visuals. It's exciting to think that we're still so early in the life cycle, and everyone is just scratching the surface of what can be done. So excited to know it's only going to get crazier. And yeah, that's pretty much about it for the article. What, did you guys really expect any new details to drop about the female Lombax in an article with no gameplay or anything else whatsoever? Well, if you did, then I'm sorry about this article not meeting your expectations. I already kinda knew that they wouldn't discuss her in the article before going in, because that'd be something you would save for a gameplay reveal, you know? But yeah, we're getting closer to the game's launch, and we'll be seeing more and more stuff pop up regarding the game, whether that be articles, gameplay, or whatever else. And whatever it may be, I'll be here to cover it ASAP. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell to be notified when anything else drops for Rift Apart. And also don't forget to leave your thoughts about this article in the comments section below. And once again, thank you all so much for watching and the support. I've been Blueknight, and I'll see you guys back here next time.
What?